Hey all, here OS Reviews. In a recent report published by Roku, 1 out of 3 smart TVs sold in the last year within North America are running on the Roku TV OS. I thought it would be a good opportunity to take a closer look at how it performs and some of its pros and cons in the current state. So Roku TV has been around for a very long time, and in fact, even if you're still using a slightly older television that doesn't have any smart features or OS installed, you can also pick up a Roku Smart Streamer. Usually they're just a tiny little dongle that connects using HDMI to the back of any monitor or TV and can add a very similar looking UI as what you see here. In our case though, it's built directly into this particular TV. So this is a competitor in terms of the platform to something like Amazon's Fire TV OS, as well as Google's Smart TV OS, as well as Apple TV. Notably, some of the partners that Roku has for their smart TVs include TCL, Sharp that we see here. I would say that Roku has been pretty smart in terms of they do seem to have the most wide collection of hardware TV manufacturer partners, especially in the more affordable segment of HD TVs, and that might be one of the reasons why they have currently a lead in terms of market share out of the aforementioned Big Four smart TV operating systems. But we'll have to see in the future as the competition spices up whether that will change. And immediately I will say that after trying out these different OSs, Roku TV is fairly well optimized in the sense that all the menus are really simple, it's easy to click on and interact with just a four-way D-pad on a remote. With that being said, it might be a little bit too locked down. For example, there is an available store, but it's primarily filled with content streaming, which makes sense, I think, for a TV. So it's going to be mostly things like different genres, as well as apps from BBC or from Disney and other companies that make things accessible on a TV that you can just click to watch. However, compared to, let's say, Fire TV, as well as with Google TV, you'll also find the presence of more games in addition to things like web browsers that you can also access, even things like some social media apps. Granted, I don't think those are going to be really accessed as commonly by most folks compared to using their smartphones, but it is worth mentioning. The selection of apps on Roku TV I do think is not quite as diverse or wide as on the Android counterparts. With that being said, all of the major, again, streaming channels when it comes to actually just watching back videos are present. Most of the Roku smart TVs, including the dongles as well as built into the smart TVs themselves, will come with relatively entry-level hardware specs, but they are sufficient for watching back and streaming videos. Will be based on an ARM Cortex A53 processor in most cases, which is pretty entry-level, roughly a 1 gigahertz quad-core processor, and you'll have at least 1 gigabyte of RAM in most of the units that you're looking at, especially ones that are playing back or capable of playing back at full HD and 4K resolution. There's a home screen that is filled with tiles, and also it will populate with additional things once you're connected to Wi-Fi. So taking as an example, a few weeks ago we were in the middle of the Olympics, and instead of this poster here for Cruella, which is now being advertised as available to watch, it was actually showing a tracker for the Olympics medal count. So you could actually see the tally for the most gold, silver, and bronze medals populated from the web. So it does change itself dynamically depending on what content is relevant. What is good, at least, is Roku TV isn't restricted in terms of only allowing you to watch content that isn't available from the competitors. So even though, again, Amazon has their Fire TV OS, which is a direct rival to this, they still have enabled a Prime Video app that you can download and find in the Roku TV store. Now, there's also a YouTube app that you can also download, and this works just fine in terms of pulling in information. It's still relatively fast, and of course, depending on the TV that you're connected to, you can watch them back up to 4K resolution. Slide over to the left to navigate some additional functions like searching for a specific keyword or for a title, look at trending, different genres and categories, and by default it is using the YouTube TV app. So everything again is optimized to run pretty well on a basic remote like this, and things are overall pretty easy to navigate. But again, like any smart TV, you may want to potentially connect it to a wireless Bluetooth keyboard of sorts if you want to do more text entry or typing, since hunting and pecking using a D-pad can can still be a little bit tedious, and there really isn't anything like multitasking to speak of, because on a smart TV you'll just be doing one thing at a time anyways. So from here it's also able to just close out of apps when you are done with them. An example of a very basic game that I did find from the store, which is a simple version of Snake, and from here you're also able to use the D-pad or remote to play this back, and this gives you an example of some of the titles that you can play. They're usually very simple. You're not going to find a ton of them, but again, for any serious gaming, of course, you would just connect to a gaming console using HDMI to your TV anyways, so not too big of an issue, but anyways, this gives you an idea. If you wanted to do something locally without plugging anything in, we also find some streaming radio services, music services from Vivo for watching MVs. That can also be kind of a fun application. Roku also has a media player that's baked directly into the OS on pretty much every single device, and this allows you to play back any videos, files, photos, either using DLNA or using a USB connection. Aside from the Home tab, you can also find another section here just for free content, and you also can navigate over here to take a look at any free TV shows or movies which are being recommended at the moment. See the time and date info that is automatically updated from the web. Take a look at the rating and kind of skip and scrub between different parts of the content as well. So you can go into your themes, and from here you can download additional options in terms of the screensavers and wallpapers. They're all pretty vibrant and offer a nice variety, and they will change depending on the time of day, as well as if there's any holidays going on as well. Now here is the screen mirroring, which is also tucked away under settings, but you don't really need to toggle this. Usually you can just simply tap on mirror on your phone and it will just get pushed over. But if you want to, some of the advanced settings you can take a look at include what devices you've previously paired and will automatically be allowed to send content over. Android phone, for example, just the notification shade, usually you'll find a screen sharing button which is baked into the OS. It will then try to search nearby if there's any options, and then it will just try to automatically connect to this Roku Smart TV. The process will then kind of be confirmed. You'll see this pair logo. So technically it's using kind of a combination of AirPlay as well as Miracast for Android. All of that is integrated within the Roku Smart TV, and then it will also start to optimize the experience in terms of the aspect ratio. So right now it will match whatever is being displayed. There is a moment of latency or hesitation in terms of what you're doing on your device and what's showing up here on screen. So if you're doing things like wireless gaming using the Miracast, it's not going to be quite the best scenario. A plugged-in connection will still be best there, but if you just want to share something like a presentation, a photo, or stream back a video that it will leave there and start to play, those applications work really well using the screen sharing. We can also change the screen orientation of our device, and it will also flip over, and that works just fine. No real complaints, and by default it's matching the TV's aspect ratio, which is going to be closer to 16:9 versus the taller 2:1 widescreen on most modern phones. So if you want to fill the screen, you can tap on this button here and it will try to size to the mobile phone, and now it's going to kind of expand the view larger, and you can see here on the TV it also has created this widescreen effect. But since most TVs won't have a 2:1 aspect ratio, it's going to create some black bars in the top and bottom sections, but it will create kind of this perfect super widescreen image if you're looking for that. And then other options that you can bring up include stopping sharing as well as keeping the screen turned on. That is referring to your phone. So if you tap on this, it will allow the phone's display always to be turned on while it's mirroring, or you can have it turned off so your phone can be dimmed to consume less power, but this image will still stay on the TV. That's more or less it as far as our kind of deeper look, closer look at the Roku TV OS in the current state. Features I like the most on here include the integration of screen sharing, easy to use, robust interface, as well as support for dynamic content and also third-party content from even competing services like Amazon Prime, as well as Apple TV. So you'll find pretty much all of the main streaming services in terms of any TV show, any movie that's available. You can probably find it using the OS here from one of the apps. And overall, it's pretty smooth and fast when it comes to actually playing back videos, despite the entry-level hardware itself. It doesn't seem to be quite as polished in terms of the support for voice assistants out of the box as what Amazon and Google have by default. And to be completely honest, I would say if I had a choice, maybe Google's Android TV interface is just still a little bit more robust and just gives us a little bit more flexibility. I think that might be the slightly more superior experience overall, just giving us slightly more richer set of features, as well as, again, the excellent Google Assistant, which is one of the best that you'll find in terms of searching up anything, controlling smart home devices. All of that is baked right on in, which is really awesome. But for one reason or another, Google hasn't been quite as good at attracting hardware partners, especially on more affordable and cheaper smart TVs. Those are some things to keep in mind, but obviously at the end of the day, seeing a smart TV OS is always nice, and having competition is always great, even at rock bottom prices. So case in point, this particular Sharp 55-inch 4K smart TV can be found for under $300 new in terms of just from Best Buy or Walmart, which is super cheap, but it already has that smart TV baked in. So really going forwards, I would say we expect to see almost no more dumb TV, so to speak. Pretty much every single television that ships now will have some sort of OS that can connect to the internet and play back some content without the need to necessarily connect it further to a computer or another device, although obviously you can still do that if you want to. And it's going to be nice to see how this will evolve over time and how it further stacks up with the other players as smart TVs become more and more ubiquitous.